In addition, we're very fortunate to have a leading voice from our most legendary company here today, Churchill Downs, Inc., a graduate of the University of California at Berkeley who holds a law degree from Columbia University. Bill Carstanjen has been with Churchill Downs since 2005, which was the year Giacomo won, but very few others did. Anybody have a bet on Giacomo? No. If you did, you probably wouldn't have to be working. Bill was first Executive Vice President and Chief Development Officer and currently serves as Chief Operating Officer. But you all may also recognize him from his starring role earlier this year on the television program Undercover Boss. If you saw that episode, you got to see Bill try out as a professional bugler, unsuccessfully, I might add. But thankfully, he's not here to exhibit his musical talents, but to offer some guidance and advice about the challenges that are out there. I'm very grateful he has joined us today, and I am proud to introduce Bill Carstanjen.
Thank you, Congressman Yarmuth. I actually brought my bugle. I've got it in back, so afterwards, if anybody wants to give me a lesson, I could use some. Well, it's great to be here today. It's actually a great event, a great thing to see, and you are the folks that are working hard to improve on your situation, and I always admire that, and for me it's a pleasure and it's an honor to come here and speak with you. I'm going to talk about the value of employees from a company's perspective, and I've only got about 15 or 20 minutes to talk to you, so I've tried to organize my thoughts into 5 different categories, and I'll spend a little less than 4 or 5 minutes on each of those categories, and really what I hope comes out of this discussion is that you can maybe take away 1 or 2 points from each of the 5 categories that I'm going to discuss. And for me, that's the definition of success. Hopefully you'll find a couple of these stories entertaining, but more important than that, I hope there are a few thoughts that are worth repeating and worth you folks taking away from this discussion today. So here are the 5 things I'm going to cover. First, my background and my job, because I think that helps inform the rest of the discussion. And then the second thing I'm going to talk about is the subject that Congressman Yarmuth just referred to, this thing called undercover boss, which for me has become a little bit of a white elephant for me. I realize that everybody I meet for the first time and that I talk to often is wondering about that experience and what it was like. So I'm going to spend a few minutes just telling you how that came to be and why I went on that odyssey and what I got out of it. The third thing I'm going to talk about is what is a company and how should a company view its employees and how should a company invest in its employees and why should it do that. Fourth, I'm going to offer you some advice as an employer in the community and as someone that's been around the block many, many times from the perspective of hiring folks. And fifth, I'll have a couple points in conclusion, and maybe we'll have a couple minutes for questions because I always feel like it's unfair to get off the stage without having people get the opportunity to ask a few questions that might be on their mind. We'll see if we have time for that. First, my background, Congressman Yarmuth referred to it a bit, but I'll tell you it was a much less planned odyssey than you might think. I was in college in the late 1980s, and I started to notice that my friends who were coming out of college weren't getting jobs. So I saw firsthand that the economy was very, very tough at the time. I was in Northern California. And I thought, I better stay in school. I better get some more education. Maybe I'll try law school because from what I've read and from the people I've met, it seems like that's a degree that can lead to a lot of different things and it'll maintain the flexibility for me to really figure out what I want to do later in life. So that's what I did. I became a lawyer and I practiced law, and when I came to Churchill 5 years ago, I came here as the general counsel or the lead lawyer of the company, and I had a fair amount of success, and obviously it invested a lot of money and a lot of my time in terms of years in becoming a good lawyer. But that leads to sort of the next fork in the road. Sometimes you have to take risks, and the board of directors and the company approached me and said, you know, we like some of the other skills you're starting to show, and we'd like you to do something else. We'd like you to not be a lawyer anymore. We want you to be the chief operating officer, the COO of the business. We want you to run the business divisions. And I thought, well, that's a great opportunity. That sounds like fun, but that's a risk. I've invested all these years in being trained to do something, and now I'm going to do something different. You got to make sure that I have the passion for that and that that's what I want to do. And for me, it was the right answer. So for many of you who are from Louisville and from the surrounding communities, you probably think of Churchill Downs as the racetrack that we have here. And it's true that that is the essence of what our company is. It's really the heartbeat of what Churchill Downs as a company is today. But we actually do a lot of different things. And many of these things we've gotten into in the last 4 or 5 years. We've built our company and diversified it. So we own 4 tracks in total. We own 2 casinos. We own the largest U.S. wagering business on the internet. So a large internet business based in Northern California, which is something that I'd focused a lot on helping. We own a very large tote company, which is the backbone infrastructure for wagering on horse racing across the United States. We own half a television station. We own a whole series of businesses that we've diversified into as we've tried to make our company better. So not only as an individual have I taken risks, but as a company I've been thrilled to work at Churchill Downs because as a company, Churchill Downs has taken a lot of risks. As the world's changed around them, as circumstances have unfolded, we've gone out there and taken some chances to build our company into a bigger, stronger company. So that's a little bit on who I am and what it is that I do. The second topic, undercover boss. I wish I could tell you that I anticipated what undercover boss was going to be and that it was all planned, but really this is how it started. It was well over a year ago. It's probably closer to 18 months ago, and my secretary set up a meeting on my calendar. And in came in a couple people from England, so they're British, and they started talking about this show they had worked on in the United Kingdom, and I didn't have any idea what they were talking about. So I finally said, you're going to have to show us something. I can't wrap my mind around what this is. And so they put in one of the episodes from England. This show, Undercover Boss, which is called something different in England, has been running for a while, and they showed me one of the episodes. And the team and I sat there and we watched it and we thought, pretty dangerous. You know, who knows what's going to happen if we let Karstanjan loose in the field. But maybe we'll learn something as a company. Maybe this will be good for our employees. Maybe it'll be very affirming for our employees. And maybe we'll learn something about ourselves and our culture as a company. So we huddled and then we came back into the room and I said, if you can get this on a network, if you have a commitment from a major network, at this point they didn't have this show sold to any network. Eventually it was on CBS. If you can line up a network to show this program, we'll do it. And then I forgot all about it. And then about 6 months later, they called back and said, well, CBS has signed up. They're actually excited about it. They think they're going to make a big deal about it. You promised us 2 weeks, and we'd like to collect on our promise. And so I did. I went undercover in New Orleans and in Miami. And we didn't do it here at Churchill because they wanted to be filming when the live horse racing meet was going on, and Churchill wasn't running live at the time. So again, I sort of jumped in the middle of it, but the premise of the show started with the idea that the folks sitting in the corner offices really need to get out there in the field and learn how great their people are, learn how hard the jobs are within the company, and I think the idea originally was that there'd be a lot of humor in it. And I guess in the case of my episode, it seems like plenty of people laughed at me, so there was probably some humor in it. But I think they probably didn't realize how serious it would be at first. I think they thought the element of humor would be a real driver of the show. But for anybody that saw the show, I mean, for us at Churchill, it was a very